During a prenatal checkup, I ran into my ex-sister-in-law, someone I hadn't seen in ages. She glanced at my belly and curled her lip in disapproval, criticizing me in that same condescending tone she always used. "You're already that old and still trying to pull the baby trap stunt? What if something happens to our family's precious heir? Can't you be a little more sensible and stop making my brother worry all the time?" But clearly, she had forgotten. A year ago, my mother was gravely ill, and her only wish was to see me married with a child. I gave up everything and proposed to Joel myself. On the day of our wedding, I waited from dawn till dark, only to receive a 30-second voice message. "I'm not coming to the wedding. I'm not marrying you. This is your punishment for bullying Elena." My mother was so devastated by Joel's heartless betrayal that she had a heart attack and passed away. After settling my mother's funeral, I erased every trace of the past, packed what little I had, and left Haiching. At the time, Joel was off skiing abroad with Elena, but now, Miranda had the nerve to tell me, "My brother flies out every month to look for you. He's lost 20 pounds in under a year. He's been waiting for you this whole time. Camila, now that you're back, please just give him another chance." I smiled faintly and raised my hand with the wedding ring on it. "Sorry, I'm a private person. We kept the wedding low-key, so we didn't send any invites." Chapter 1. Camila, do you even know how crazy my brother went looking for you this past year? You nearly got someone killed. My brother didn't show up at the wedding because he was covering for you. And then you just walked away? 8 years together and you just threw it all away? I was blocked by my former sister-in-law on my way out of the fetal monitoring room. Glancing down at my phone as I replied to a message from my husband, Miranda stood before me in her white doctor's coat. Her expression briefly stunned before she launched into a tirade. Even after a year, she still carried that same haughty arrogance typical of the Schur family. Back then, it was Joel who was too timing, but in her version, it was somehow all my fault. Hearing Joel's name again didn't stir much emotion in me. It was like touching a hot cup, 2 seconds of pain, and then numbness. I looked calmly at the endlessly babbling Miranda and said flatly, "Joel and I broke up a year ago. Whatever you're talking about has nothing to do with me." Miranda froze, visibly stunned. "You were my brother's simp. Everyone knew that. You didn't have a life, just hovered over him, afraid some woman would steal him away. There's no way you gave up." Her gaze dropped to my belly, and she let out a sneer, with eyes that resembled Joel's by at least 60%. She looked down at me like I was a stray mutt. That look, I'd lived with it every single day for the past 8 years. Joel came from a prestigious medical family. I was just a girl from the slums raised by a single mom. When I decided to pursue him, everyone mocked me for being a toad lusting after a swan. When Joel finally accepted me, they said I was a pathetic simp and placed bets on how long until he dumped me. Some said 1 week. Some said a month. Others said 3. No one expected I'd stay by Joel's side for 8 whole years. Chapter 2. At the beginning of our 8th year together, Joel's career had become overwhelmingly busy, but in the handful of messages we exchanged each day, another girl's name kept coming up. I asked Joel if he had eaten. He said his junior colleague brought him some food, it was spicy. I asked if he wanted to catch a movie. He said everyone was going out to celebrate because she had just published a paper. Later, I got sick and asked if he could spare some time to come home. He replied that she had broken a piece of lab equipment and got scolded for it. He had to stay and clean up the mess. There was something subtle in all these messages. A feeling, a hunch, something just felt off. And soon, my intuition was confirmed. For our monthly date night, I went out of my way to get tickets to a concert Joel loved. But during those rare moments together, Joel kept looking down, replying to messages. I felt a little hurt, but reminded myself how hard he worked. So I gently asked, "Who keeps bothering you even on your day off?" Without thinking, he replied, "Elena. She copied part of my experiment and messed up the data. She's asking me what to do." Elena, his junior, the same girl who kept showing up in our conversations. I wasn't even sure how I felt at that moment. Just disappointed. After all the trouble I went through to get those tickets, neither of us even paid attention to the performance. On the way home, Joel was still texting. I couldn't take it anymore and covered his phone with my hand. Joel frowned at me. I looked him in the eye and tried to joke. "You've skipped our date night twice now. I finally managed to pin you down. And yet you're glued to your phone the whole time. You keep talking about your junior. I'm getting jealous. I thought he'd laugh and maybe ease up on mentioning her so much. What I didn't expect was for him to get angry. His face instantly turned cold. Camila, since when did you become so obsessed with this sex-driven jealousy crap? I'm helping her grow as a researcher. That's all. After that night, Joel started giving me the silent treatment. He ignored every message I sent. On the third day of our Cold War, I got a text from Joel. No appetite. Make something light and bring it to the lab. To me, that felt like an olive branch. So I took the day off and went straight to the market. As soon as I finished cooking, I rushed over to the research center. But when I pushed the door open, I saw Joel squatting in front of a girl, gently rubbing her belly. The voice I once praised for being calm and composed was now impossibly soft and tender. How are you feeling? Any better? Much better. Thank you. Senior. That moment nearly made my head explode. 1,000 thoughts surged through me, clogging my chest until I could barely breathe. The girl suddenly looked up, then shyly pushed Joel's hand away. Don't rub anymore. Someone's here. It was only then that Joel noticed me at the door. He stood up, frowning. Miranda, this is a research facility. Why didn't you knock? I stared at him blankly, then let out a sarcastic laugh. If I'd knocked, I wouldn't have seen that little scene just now, would I? The girl stood beside Joel, stuck her tongue out playfully, and muttered an explanation. Sis, you misunderstood. I'm on my period and couldn't do my experiments. Senior only helped me by rubbing my stomach a bit. Joel walked up to me, reaching for the lunchbox in my hands. We're short on people at the lab right now. Elena's not feeling well and hasn't eaten anything all day. Just give me the food. He spoke casually, like it was the most normal thing in the world, as if none of this was out of the ordinary. But in that moment, all I could do was laugh. Laugh at myself for being the fool in this circus. The pain in my chest made me lash out without filter. She had cramps, so you knelt down to rub her stomach. She had no appetite, so you ended our Cold War just to get me to cook for her. Joel, since when did you become so attentive and thoughtful to someone else? I thought I was shouting from the depths of my soul, but my voice came out hoarse and cracked. Joel didn't even look guilty. He replied calmly, unfazed. Elena's a key member of our team. If she's doing well, our research progresses faster. Can you stop projecting all your messy gender issues onto us? I stared at him for a moment, then turned to leave with the lunchbox still in hand. I'd rather feed this to a stray dog. But the next second, Joel suddenly yanked the lunchbox out of my hands. I lost my balance and fell to the ground along with it. The meal I spent 2 hours preparing was now scattered trash. Joel's face darkened. He glared down at me and snapped coldly. Are you happy now? Making a scene in the middle of the day? I sat silently on the ground, knees bruised, palms bleeding from the shattered porcelain. Joel froze for a second, then instinctively reached out to help me. I shoved his hand away, forced myself to stand through the pain, and walked out without looking back. Chapter 3. After that incident, Joel sent me a few messages. I didn't reply. He didn't send any more. My birthday was a week away. I thought I'd be spending it alone this year, but just before midnight, Joel showed up in the pouring rain, holding a birthday cake. He put a necklace around my neck, the gift, and apologized sincerely. That day was my fault. I didn't give you enough security. That's why you felt so anxious and uncertain. Don't worry. Once this project is over, I'll talk to my family about our wedding. After 8 years together, it was the first time he made me a promise like that. I started counting down the days, full of hope for the long-awaited wedding. But I didn't know then, that day would never come. After we reconciled, Joel came home right after work every day. We spent our evenings together like a real couple. It lasted about 2 weeks. Then Joel threw himself back into work again. One evening, I was accompanying my boss for a dinner engagement. As the dinner ended, I saw Joel and Elena dining in a quiet corner of the restaurant. Before I even walked over, I heard Joel speaking slowly. Dinner's on me today. Thanks for your advice. Without it, I wouldn't have calmed her down. She used to be obedient and sensible. Never like this before. To be honest, that day, you got caught up in my mess. Elena suddenly looked up, right in my direction. Grinning, she raised 3 fingers and teased. Senior, I heard you and Camila have been together for 8 years. Why aren't you married yet? Do you still really love her? I just don't want to see you stuck in a relationship with someone you don't love. And I don't want you wasting her youth either. Time's important for girls. You know, you can tell me. I won't tell a soul. I stopped walking. Then Joel paused for a few seconds and slowly said, a dish, no matter how good, gets boring after years of eating it. But suddenly taking it off the menu. I just can't let go. So let it be. My chest tightened like cotton stuffing had been shoved into my lungs. I could hardly breathe. I walked over and picked up a glass. When Joel saw me, he instinctively shielded Elena. Camila? What are you doing here? Were you following me? His defensive stance, his accusatory tone, it made my chest ache even more. I couldn't take it anymore. I splashed the drink in my hand straight at his face. People around us turned to look, drawn by the commotion. Elena was heartbroken. She rushed to wipe Joel's face. Sis, no matter what, you shouldn't treat him like that. I ignored her fake concern, keeping my eyes locked on Joel. He gently pushed Elena aside, wiped his face, and spoke, his voice cold as ice. Camila, no wonder you have no friends. No one wants to be around someone like you. With a personality like yours, who could stand you? The glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. I never imagined Joel would one day raise his voice at me, for another woman, and I never thought he'd take my most painful memories and use them as a blade against me. When I was young, my dad had an affair and died in the sea with his mistress. My mother raised me alone with frail shoulders, but a poor, single-parent home, and relatives with ordinary jobs, became the reason I was bullied. After school, I was locked in the bathroom as a prank. Joel appeared like a savior and got me out. As we passed each other, he said, don't blame yourself for other people's mistakes. But now, he was the one who crushed that very belief with his own hands. I looked at Joel. Tears streamed down uncontrollably, and Joel didn't even look back. He left the restaurant with Elena by his side. Chapter 4. On the way back, I received a call from the hospital. They told me my mother's condition had worsened. She had been rushed into emergency care. I didn't have time to grieve. I immediately told the driver to turn around and sped to the hospital. Thankfully, my mother was temporarily out of danger, but the doctor said tonight wouldn't be the last time. This would keep happening, and she likely had only about a month left to live. I stayed by her bedside, crying until my eyes were swollen. She stroked my hair gently, just like she used to. Sweetheart, don't cry. It's a good thing if I go. It means I won't be a burden to you anymore. My only regret is that I won't get to see you walk down the aisle. I wiped my tears and clutched her hand tightly, replying with all the sincerity I had. Joel proposed to me recently. I was going to tell you in a few days. Mom, don't worry. I'll make sure you get to see me get married, with your own eyes. As soon as I left the hospital, I called Joel. No matter what had happened between us, all I wanted was for him to cooperate this one time. But I didn't know then, this would become the decision I'd regret for the rest of my life. The moment the call connected, I spoke eagerly. Joel, let's move the wedding up. My mom's condition is getting worse. I want her to leave this world with peace of mind. On the other end of the line, Joel was silent. My heart sank. My voice began to tremble. Joel, you don't want to, do you? He didn't answer my question. Instead, he asked me something else. Did you know Elena tried to jump off a building yesterday? Someone sent an anonymous report to her school, accusing her of being a homewrecker. Now the whole thing's blown up. She tried to jump to prove her innocence. She survived, but she's emotionally unstable. Camila, I just want to know, was that report from you? I froze. Then realization hit, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Joel, you think it was me? We've been together for 8 years. Don't you know what kind of person I am? I was angry, shocked, and devastated. But Joel's voice was frighteningly calm. If it wasn't you, why are you so worked up? I said I'd go through with the wedding. Just get ready. Then he hung up. I texted him afterward, trying to follow up, but he avoided the topic completely. Time was running out. I stopped worrying about Elena and her suicide drama. I got busy, determined to plan a full wedding in just 2 weeks. During those 2 weeks, I didn't see Joel once. We tried on our outfits separately, he for his suit, me for my dress. On messaging apps, he only replied once every 3 days. When I asked, he said work was busy. The project was wrapping up, so I stopped asking. I handled every part of the wedding by myself, not wanting him to stress about a single thing. Eventually, the wedding day came, just as planned. I stood in my wedding dress, waiting from day to night, from hope to heartbreak. The groom's seats remained completely empty. I called Joel 100 times. No one answered. Only one new voice message sat quietly in my chat. Camila, I gave you a chance. If you had admitted on the phone that you sent that report and apologized properly to Elena, I would have come. I would have still been your groom. But now it's too late. I won't attend the wedding, and I won't marry you. This is your punishment for bullying Elena. Chapter 5. Joel's selfish cruelty took my mother from me and severed our 8-year relationship. After the funeral, I complied with the company's transfer order and started a new job. During that time, I sold the apartment as quickly as possible. Then, with what little I had left, I left Haiching behind. Right before boarding the plane, I checked Joel's social media feed one last time. 10 minutes earlier, he had posted a video of himself skiing abroad, laughing joyfully with Elena, throwing snow at each other. I deleted and blocked every account, every number connected to him. I blinked, snapped back to the present, and pushed the painful memories aside. Miranda, standing in front of me, pursed her lips when I said nothing. Camila, aren't you almost 30? Are you seriously trying to pull off that runaway pregnant heroine thing like in a soap opera? You've been hiding for nearly a year, just to make my brother pity you, right? If anything happens to our family's child, I'd love to see how you plan to take responsibility. Her words stunned me for a second. It hit me, Miranda thought the child I was carrying was Joel's. I burst out laughing, then raised my hand and waved it in front of her. Sorry, I'm a private person. That's why we didn't hold a big wedding. This baby belongs to me and my husband, as in, the man listed on my marriage certificate. It has absolutely nothing to do with Joel. Please don't get the wrong idea. The diamond ring gleaming on my finger left Miranda visibly stunned. Then her expression darkened as she registered what I'd said. You got married? Camila, how dare you? What are you going to tell my brother? Seeing that she still didn't understand plain speech, my smile disappeared. The ENT department's on the 3rd floor. Elevators that way. Why don't you get your ears checked? If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. My husband is waiting for me. I turned to leave, but Miranda reached out to stop me. I shot her a cold look. Doctor, if you keep harassing me, I'll call the police. I didn't lower my voice. In an instant, every pregnant woman and family member in the hallway turned to look. Miranda immediately pulled her hand back. I took 2 steps forward, and suddenly saw a tall figure ahead. I smiled, waved at the man ahead, and called out softly, "Honey!" Eric immediately jogged over and gently reached out to support me. How did it go? What did the doctor say? The doctor said everything's fine. Just need to rest and wait for the baby. What about you? How's the car? What did the traffic police say? When we arrived at the hospital today, the parking lot was full, so Eric had to park outside. Then he got a call from the traffic police. Someone had hit our car. It was a kid, scratched the paint a bit. The kid's parents tried to blame me for parking badly, but the traffic cops checked the footage and confirmed it was their son's fault. Eric sighed and reached over to touch my belly. Sweetheart, let's not be like that bratty kid, okay? I laughed and swatted his hand away. How do you even know if it's a boy or a girl? Eric grinned sheepishly. I like girls. After leaving Haiching, I threw myself into work to forget the pain of the past. I devoted myself fully to building the new company, but from working too hard, I once collapsed on the street. That day, Eric happened to be passing by on a photography trip and saved me. He brought me to the hospital and took care of me for 3 full days. By the time I'd recovered enough to thank him, he was already gone. All I had was his name. Later, when the company stabilized, I got promoted. To reward my hard work, my boss gave me a 10-day vacation. I chose to travel to my mother's hometown. And there, I ran into Eric again. Naturally, we started dating and eventually got married. It all happened fast. But in this relationship, all I felt is pure, genuine happiness. That shocked gaze behind me lingered for a long time, but I didn't care. I had no interest in getting tangled up with that family ever again. Chapter 6. After that day, I never saw Miranda again, and I gradually forgot about our conversation. These days, my life is full of joy. I have a gentle, handsome husband, and a baby on the way. If my mom could see me now, I know she'd be happy for me, but I never expected Joel to show up. At 35 weeks pregnant, I often took walks around the community plaza. It's a high-end residential area. Many wealthy heirs and even celebrities own apartments here. Security is strict. Even food deliveries are handled by the guards, let alone random outsiders. So when I suddenly ran into Joel, I was caught off guard. I frowned at him. How did you even get in here? Joel stared at me, his gaze slowly falling to my belly. Those deep-set eyes of his turned red in an instant. To my surprise, I actually saw tears forming. Truth is, ever since I saw Miranda that day, I had a faint feeling that I might run into Joel again, but I didn't expect it to happen so soon, and I definitely didn't expect that when it did. I'd feel so calm. That's when I knew I'd truly moved on. Camila, what do you take me for? What do you take us for? You just decided to get married, then decided to get pregnant. Did you ever ask me? Did you even think about how I'd feel? Joel's voice was raspy, like he'd swallowed a pile of chili peppers, firing off one accusation after another. Honestly, I didn't even feel angry. It was just ridiculous. It's only been a year. Has he already erased all memory of what he did back then? Is he trying to make me the villain now? I looked at him, half amused, half exasperated. Oh, right, skipping out on the wedding you agreed to. That must have been your second personality. You, sir, are so pure and innocent. How laughable. Joel, who do you think you are? I got married. I had a child. Did you expect me to submit a request for your approval? I glanced at the time. 5 minutes left on my walk. Forget it. I'd seen something rotten today, ruined my mood. I turned and started walking back. But after a few steps, Joel stepped in front of me, blocking my path. No wonder he and Miranda are siblings. They both have the same nasty hobby, standing in people's way. When I saw Joel trying to get closer, I instinctively covered my belly and snapped. Stop! Don't come any closer. Only then did Joel realize how out of line he was. He froze on the spot, stung by my defensive gesture. He gave a bitter smile and said, I didn't mean anything. I just want to talk to you, properly. I never planned to break up with you. I just wanted to teach you a lesson. That anonymous report you sent, Elena almost died because of it. She wanted to report you to the police for defamation. I couldn't just let that happen. I couldn't just stand by. I thought, fine. If we couldn't get married that time, we'd do it the next time. I didn't expect you wouldn't give me another chance. Now I understood. All of it. The entire chain of events, because Joel decided to play judge and jury. After 8 years together, the moment something went wrong, his first instinct was to doubt me, to test me, not to believe in me. Joel's words were disjointed, eyes bloodshot. He looked pitiful, but all I felt was disgust. I cut him off without hesitation. Have you said enough? 8 years, Joel, and when it mattered most, you chose to believe someone you'd known for 3 months over me. What right do you have to question me? Oh, how noble. You thought I wrote the report. You were afraid I'd be arrested. So you skipped the wedding to protect me? Well, I wish you had let her report me. At least then I wouldn't have been wrongly accused for so long. On our wedding day, I waited from morning till afternoon. I called you 100 times. And what did I get in return? Shame, humiliation, and my mother's life. I told you, she was dying. Her only wish was to see me get married before she left. So I begged you, even if it was fake. Even if you were just pretending, I begged you to go through with it. But you ruined everything. And you killed her. My face stayed calm, but my voice cracked with emotion. I never imagined that this was the ridiculous reason why Joel had abandoned me, left me to suffer alone through the most humiliating moment of my life. That wedding was the decision I regret the most in my entire life. Chapter 7. Joel tried to explain. That day when Elena jumped, we checked the surveillance. I saw a woman with a body shape like yours. She was even wearing the same outfit as you. I thought, did you see her face with your own eyes? Did you hear her voice with your own ears? Joel's face turned pale. He shook his head. I was furious. There are tons of people built like me. Tons wearing similar clothes. And just because those two matched, you assumed I'd boldly drop off that report myself? Doesn't that sound suspicious to you? Doesn't it seem like someone wanted you to see that? I don't believe you couldn't have figured that out, but you still insisted on blaming me without a shred of evidence. Because compared to me, the woman you've grown tired of after 8 years, you're sweet. Delicate Jr. was easier to believe. All you wanted was to fight for her so-called justice. Joel looked like he wanted to object, but I cut him off coldly. Don't even try to deny it. When the wedding was ruined and I left Haiching, where were you? Skiing in Switzerland with Elena, weren't you? So let's just end this here. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Please leave. Joel swayed on his feet, then straightened and slowly shook his head. No, I came here today to take you back. I admit I made mistakes. Miranda, let me make it up to you. Let me take care of you. I walked right up to him and slapped him across the face. The red imprint burned on Joel's cheek as he gave a crooked smile. Miranda, if slapping me makes you feel better, makes you forgive me, then go ahead, do it again. No thanks. One slap was already disgusting enough. Any more and I might not want this hand anymore. I pulled a pack of wipes from my purse, right in front of Joel. I wiped my hand, one finger at a time. Joel stared, his eyes stinging. Miranda, are we really strangers now? I still love you. If you get a divorce, I'll accept you and your baby. I'll raise them as my own. I let out a cold laugh. Joel, you're nothing. Your promises mean nothing. I pulled out my phone and called building security to have him removed. Joel's voice trembled as he called out my name, but I didn't respond. Moments later, 2 guards arrived and escorted him out. As he was dragged away, arms restrained, completely humiliated, I looked away, unfazed. Later that day, the head of security came to our door with a small fruit basket to apologize. He explained that Joel got in by bribing a newly hired guard. That guard had already been fired, permanently. Just as the security chief was leaving, he ran into Eric. Eric rushed to my side with a nervous face and gently held my hand. Honey, what happened? I thought for a moment, then decided to tell him that Joel had shown up. I've only known Eric for a year, but he's genuine, warm, and never hides anything from me. When we just started dating, I once saw a silly post online about counting beauty marks. Out of curiosity, I asked Eric how many moles he had. He blushed, leaned in close, and whispered the number shyly. Later, in bed, when he was in a playful mood, he'd point to the ones on his shoulder or chest, asking me to touch them, to count them, and once I was done, he'd hug me and murmur like a spoiled child. Honey, I'd never lie to you. Eric's always known about my past, about the 8-year relationship. I'd told him some of what happened back then. He hugged me and said, then let's spend the next 8 years together. I'm someone who craves love deeply, and if I manage to come out of the pain of losing both my mom and my relationship, it's thanks to Eric. Chapter 8. After I finished telling him what happened that day, Eric frowned and immediately started packing clothes. Seeing him suddenly rushing around, I asked, what are you doing? He looked completely serious. Babe, I'm worried that guy will come back to bother you. Let's move in with my parents for now. They've been asking us for weeks anyway. And there are maids, housekeepers, and security at home. He won't be able to get anywhere near you. Seeing how he was acting like we were under siege, I walked over and pinched his cheek. What are you afraid of? He doesn't dare do anything to me. If he shows up again, I'll kick him out again. Still, in the end, I went back to Eric's family home with him, planning to stay there until my due date. My in-laws were thrilled to have us. Even Eric's eldest sister, usually swamped with company affairs, took time to come back. Life at his family home was incredibly comfortable. Every now and then, though. I'd get messages from the building manager. Someone had been looking for me. I knew who it was. I simply told them to turn him away. At 38 weeks, the doctor found low amniotic fluid during a checkup. The baby might be in danger, so we scheduled a C-section in advance. After the operation, our daughter was born, half conscious. I opened my eyes to see Eric walking beside my bed, holding the baby in his arms. My father-in-law and mother-in-law were gathered around, gazing at the newborn in wonder, smiling at the scene. I drifted back to sleep. On the third day in the hospital, I was sipping soup when I heard gasps outside the room. I carefully got out of bed, walked to the door, and opened it, only to see Eric and Joel locked in a fight. Doctors and nurses stood around, panicked. A few other patients' relatives tried to stop them, but couldn't even get close. I was stunned and shouted for them to stop. Eric froze as soon as he heard my voice. Joel, however, seized the moment to land a punch right on Eric's face. Eric winced, baring his teeth in pain, then turned to me, looking pitiful. I couldn't take it anymore. I walked right up to Joel and slapped him twice. This one's for my husband, and this one's for myself. I just gave birth, and you come here to stir up drama? Joel, where is your basic decency? Without looking at his reaction, I pulled Eric back into the hospital room. From Eric, I learned that Joel had shown up early in the morning, lurking around the nursery like a creep, even trying to touch our baby. Eric thought he was a child trafficker and immediately fought him off. Only later, mid-fight, did he realize it wasn't a stranger? It was an ex. I never imagined Joel would be this crazy, this persistent, to even track us down to this place. But even then, I had no desire to see him, until the day I was discharged. I was wrapped up tightly, heading downstairs, and right by the entrance, there he was, Joel, disheveled, unshaven, haggard. The moment he saw me, he rushed over, voice pleading, Miranda, I just want to talk. Can you give me a few minutes? At that moment, I realized, maybe we do need to have a serious talk. Because if I didn't deal with this now, he'd just keep showing up, over and over. I glanced at Eric. He held our baby and let out a low, reluctant sigh. Go ahead, I'll wait here for you. Joel and I walked a few meters away. After just a few days, he looked like he'd aged years, even had a few strands of white hair at his temples. I didn't know what to feel. If anything, I thought, he kind of deserved it. I looked at him seriously. Joel, I want this to be the last conversation between us. I've told you, I have my own life now. You need to let go of the past. I never wronged you. This constant clinging, it's just another way of hurting me. His eyes were bloodshot, lips pale. He quickly responded, Miranda, is there really, truly no chance left for us? I went back to Haiching a few days ago. I've kicked Elena out of the lab. She pretended to be fragile, manipulated everything, just to ruin what we had. But I never let her succeed. Later, she latched onto another senior. That one had a family, he didn't tolerate her antics. I admit I did waver in our relationship. For a moment, but now I know, without a doubt. I love you, only you. As I listened to Joel bare his heart, I thought, he never spoke to me like this before. But what difference did it make now? I refused him again. Without hesitation, what came between us wasn't just your emotional betrayal. Every time I see you, I remember how my mother died in my arms. When I see you, I have nightmares. Joel's lips trembled. The tears he'd been holding back finally fell. I said nothing more. I turned around and walked toward my husband and daughter. I had already found my happiness. This was my true happiness.